Stephen Gethins.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As a number of my honourable friends on these benches have said tonight, this is the first time we have had to take such a serious decision, and it's not one that we take lightly. We do not ask the question of whether or not we should tackle Daesh, but what is the most effective means of doing so. I'll give way to him very, very quickly.
The Right Honourable Member for Gordon made a point earlier today about choking off the propaganda to Daesh. Does my honourable friend agree with me there's been a lack of discussion from the government about how to choke off both the money supply and the propaganda?
My honourable friend raised a valid point, and that's something that was picked up in the Foreign Affairs report. Before I touch upon that, I want to touch upon this. When we think about how we vote tonight, we think about the lessons that we've learned. We all do. And I respect everybody in this House, regardless of which lobby they go through tonight. We learn from the fact of Libya, and that we spent £320 million bombing the country and £25 million in reconstruction. And we learn from the catastrophic failure of post-conflict reconstruction in Iraq that led to the loss of hundreds of thousands of lives and a political vacuum in that country that has led to many of the problems that we see today. And Mr. Speaker, it has been a privilege for me to sit on the Foreign Affairs Committee, and I pay particular credit to the Chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee. We will go through different lobbies tonight, but I pay credit to his work. I also pay credit to the members for Ilford South and Kinnan Valley, and I'm sure all members will join me in wishing them a speedy recovery as well. With that, but for those of you who have not yet read it, Mr. Speaker, I hope you won't mind saying you've got about half an hour. Maybe you can skim read it, but I would thoroughly recommend it. It sets a series of recommendations. It is based on evidence, and I would thoroughly recommend that you look at it very quickly, so other members won't get in.
Very grateful to my honourable friend. Does he agree with me that the government's strategy, according to the Prime Minister's statement last week, is predicated on a new Syrian government? But given the Prime Minister has ruled out regime change or boots on the ground, it's extremely unclear as to how this new government will come about.
We have not seen enough on the forward planning, and we have not seen enough on the long-term planning, and that's something that's a cause for concern for me, and I know in other members from the House. We need ground troops, but we've not heard enough on how we've got them. Where did the 70,000 come from? Now, I raised this with the Foreign Secretary back in July, and he was kind, and this was something that we included.
The honourable gentleman has the floor. It would be a courtesy if the honourable gentleman would respect my wish that two other colleagues briefly contribute. So I feel sure he's reaching his peroration, which won't last longer than 30 seconds or so.
Mr. Speaker, in that case, Mr. Speaker, let me just touch upon a couple of points. We're often being accused of the tactics of the past, the criticism that we fight the last war rather than a current war. That's not something that we want to do. Can I say, and I pay credit to members across this House, we want the same thing, which is to put an end to Daesh for good. It is my view that taking the same old route into bombing without a long-term strategy will only lead to failure, and that's why I will be backing the multi-party amendment tonight. Thank you.